All right, everybody, we're going to get started. For those of you that don't know, my name is John Lux. I'm the Executive Director of Film Florida. Welcome to our Actors Forum with two great Film Florida members and SAG-AFTRA members. Film Florida has a long-standing relationship with SAG-AFTRA, and we greatly appreciate their support of our organization. And that's why it made sense for us to do something like this tonight. In just a moment, our guests are going to introduce themselves, and then I'll ask a couple questions to get things going. I think they have some questions they want to ask about me, about Film Florida. And during that time, we're going to ask that everybody keep their microphones on mute so we can avoid background noise. After we've gotten through some of these initial questions, we're going to open it up to the audience for questions and conversation. At that time, please use the hand raising function within Zoom so we can call on you. We want this to be conversational, interactive, but we also don't want 50 people talking at the same time. And with that, I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves. So Adam, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Vernier. I live in Orlando, Florida. I moved here in 1996 and got my SAG card in 1998 and moved to Los Angeles in 1999. Got married and decided we wanted to have kids, but not in Los Angeles. So we moved back to the sprawling city of Orlando, which at the time was in the third highest state for film production and a great place to raise a family. We did that in 2003, and I've never looked back. I enjoyed a very lucrative about 10 years before things started to dry up in the state of Florida, and now I still enjoy a very busy career, but it's in Charlotte, in Charleston, in New Orleans, and Atlanta, and it's bad. So I wanted to do everything I could do to bring the work back to Florida and work with Film Florida, and of course, the Screen Actors Guild. I'm a board member as well there. To try to do everything we can to get our state back on the map and be number 3 again, if not number 2 or number 1. That's my story. Oh, currently I'm on Outer Banks, season 1 and 2. They just announced the date of season 2. 4 episodes of season 2. Spoiler alert! But that's going to be in when is that? That's coming out July 31st. And I'm also on Queen Sugar seasons 3, 4, 5, and we just wrapped season 6, which shoots in New Orleans. So that's a little bit about me.
Excellent. Tamara, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and for taking time to refresh in your industry and learn and connect. I have been an actor for over 30 years. I got my first SAG job, which is the definition of a professional job, for a Star Wars Lucky Charms commercial. So that's how long I've been a member of SAG-AFTRA and a professional actor. One of the best things that I think about being an actor living in Florida is we have the opportunity to work on the best projects with the best people, where if you lived in LA or New York, you just wouldn't have that. So we get to be big fish in a smaller pond. And we, if you're looking for a way to have a family, have a life, I think this is the best place to do it. And also, I think we get the craziest projects here. So I've had the pleasure of being directed by Martin Scorsese and Woody Allen and lots of other wonderful directors, along with over 150 national commercials, which has paid for houses and healthcare and college tuition for my 4 children. And it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to hear what you all have to say.
Thank you very much. And just so everybody knows, Adam found out late yesterday that he was booked on a gig late tonight. So he has to leave us between 8 and 8:15 Eastern time. So we're going to get to as many questions as we can before then. And then Tamara and I will continue after. But we're sorry that Adam has to leave. But we know how it goes. When the work calls, you go get it. There's no question about that. So let's get started. Tamara, you mentioned how you got started in the industry with your Lucky Charms commercial. Adam, how did
we were living in Naperville, just outside of Chicago, when I was a tiny little kid, and so I was 5 years old. And back then, when it came to auditions, they asked on the radio for parents to send in pictures of blonde-headed, blue-eyed kids between the ages of 4 and 6. And so my mom did, and long story short, after audition, that it finally came down to me and the other little 5-year-old, and they picked the other little 5-year-old. I had an accident on my bike and I knocked my 3 front teeth out. Not sure if that's why I didn't get it, but the movie was The Shining, and the part was Red Rum, Little Boy Danny. So that close, but I was 5. I didn't know. I just remember the whole process. But from that, my parents said, you know, this kid obviously had something or whatever. So I started doing plays, and I got my equity card at 12 years old, and I never looked back. I always wanted to be a theater actor. I was like, I think, you know, film and TV is not real acting. You know, that's just so fake. And then when I graduated college with a theater degree, I realized I can't eat and have a family if I want to do this full time. So I kind of made the switch over to film and TV. But theater is my passion. Obviously, it is pretty much every performer's passion if they do it. But that's how I got into it, so to speak. The transition was very hard, but obviously very worth it.
And Adam, we've promoted both you and Tamara as SAG-AFTRA members and kind of used that in our talking points for this evening. For a second, though, let's pretend there are some in the audience that really don't know much about SAG-AFTRA other than the name. So give people kind of the SAG-AFTRA 101 so they understand the organization.
Well, the union itself is, if you can name the actor that you enjoy their work, then undoubtedly they have a Screen Actors Guild card. It's the minute you are eligible for that card, it puts you in a different category than everybody else. And what the union does is it protects you overall. It gives you a working wage, a wage that you can make a living doing this as an actor. It protects you from 17-hour days with national commercials and $100 to you and no more. The union negotiates the contracts so that the production has to stay within the contracts of the Screen Actors Guild contract that's negotiated with the producers and directors way up. By the time that it gets down to a commercial in Florida, it's already taken care of. So all you have to do is show up, do your work, and everything is protected by you. You also have, if you see a commercial that you shot that you weren't paid for, or that they did a lift of your likeness and put it into the commercial, the union is there to protect you and make sure that you get paid for that. You know, if you're on a set and you have dangerous set environment, you know, they're doing explosives and you don't feel comfortable, that's what the union's there to do, is to protect you and make sure that everything is safe, legal, fun. If you have a sexual harassment problem, something like that, the union, that's what we do. We step in and say, no, you can't talk to somebody like that. So it's basically a life vest and a cushion for the fall, should you have one.
And Tamara, talk for a minute about why it's important for you to be a member of SAG-AFTRA.
Well, it's very important for a beginning actor. Once you have the opportunity to join the union, you should, because that is really is the definition of a professional actor. There is not a single actor, like Adam said, that you can name who is not a SAG-AFTRA member. It's the difference between those actors and those actors. It really is. It's not even a conversation of whether you should or not. The benefit, besides being seen as a professional actor and having those opportunities for auditions and the relationship that it brings you with your agent, is that it does allow you to have health benefits. It allows you to have a safe working environment, and it also allows you to actually get paid. I can't tell you how many of my colleagues who are not in the union, who do non-union jobs, and you know, they audition, they get the job, they do the work, and they never get paid. Like, and they have no recourse. So anybody that is in, you know, doubt on whether it's what they should do, if they want to be an actor, it's definitely what they should do. And I have never felt at any time that when I'm on a SAG set, I'm with the most professional people. Everyone there is excellent.
And Adam, I mean, obviously you're a big proponent of the union, but when somebody comes to you and says like, Adam, I don't know, I mean, do I really need to, you know, what do you tell them? Like, how do you kind of coach them as to why it's important for them to join the union?
It's tough in Florida, which is a right to work state, which we'll get into. But in Florida, everybody in the business, except for other actors that are union, are telling non-union actors that they don't join here, don't join here. You'll never work again. Don't join here. And you have to, what I say to people is you have to think, why is this person telling me this? What do they have to gain? A casting director, their job is to find the best talent for the lowest price. And so you understand why they are trying to get the best talent for the lowest price. And I understand as a producer, if I could get you to come do a national commercial for me and pay you $5,000 one time and have you in perpetuity, I love that as a producer. As a performer on the other side of that, you're getting, pardon me, but you're getting screwed. I mean, you just basically are. I mean, to have you in perpetuity for Buick commercials, you can never do a Honda commercial in your entire life. And I've given you 5,000. I mean, 100,000 isn't worth that. You don't know where your career is going to go. So that's one of the main things that I tell people is turn over someone's resume, see what they do, see what they're working on, see how often they work, and see if they're worth listening to. What is their motive? What is the agent's motive? They take 40%, 50% of your check. Well, of course, they're going to tell you not to join. They can only take 10% of your SAG work. And a day on a show like Walking Dead is going to pay you scales 1,000, a little over 1,000. So they get 100 of that. They're not going to work hard to get you on that. They're just not, unless they're an agent that cares about your career. That's my SAG thing. But I know Film Florida is the same kind of thing. A lot of people don't know, well, how's Film Florida? What is that? So you asked for the 101 of Screen Actors Guild. What's the 101 of Film Florida, John?
So, well, thanks for asking, Adam. Film Florida it's a not-for-profit. We've been around as an organization for about 22 years now. And really the core competency of the organization is marketing. We're a membership-based organization. We have members from Pensacola to Key West, literally tip to tip, and everywhere in between. Our primary focus is on marketing. So here in the state of Florida, we want to market the industry as much as possible. We want to market the state to attract as much business as we possibly can. We also do a number of professional development events like this one. We do some networking things throughout the state. And then we've gotten involved in the advocacy side of things for legislation over the last decade or so. Honestly, not because anybody woke up one day and said, "Oh, that sounds like fun. Let's go up to Tallahassee." It really was more about it was a need, and as a group that wants to be a leader in the state of Florida and in the industry, at the time the decision was made that who else except Film Florida should get involved in the advocacy side of things. So, the legislative side of things is probably the most known of things that we do, but it really is a small piece of what the organization does. Our overall goal is to grow and strengthen the industry, and that can be done in a lot of different ways. We don't control what happens in Tallahassee. We can control, though, what we do from a marketing standpoint, what we do from a networking and professional development. And that's where we really focus a lot of our time. Even through the pandemic, our membership has continued to grow, which we take as a huge compliment, showing that people value their membership within the organization. Obviously, the last year and a half has been very difficult for everybody. And it would have been very easy for a lot of people just to say, forget it, tap out, I can't do it. But they saw the importance of sticking with the organization, and we're obviously grateful for that. But we think we're doing some good things for the industry, and want to just continue to do that.
John, could I ask you?
Sure.
You're the executive director of Film Florida. How did you come to that role, and where do you see Film Florida going in the future?
So I came into this role almost exactly 5 years ago, actually. It was a really good timing thing. I had been with a company, well, to Adam's point earlier about being in Naperville, I was born and raised in the Chicago area, moved to Florida in 1998 to work in the film industry, film and television industry. And I worked for the same company for 18 years. And towards the end of that, I started getting involved in Film Florida. And the truth of the matter was, at the end of my run at my previous job, I had a lot more passion for Film Florida than I probably did for my other job. I didn't know it until I left it, but that was just kind of the truth. And so at that time, Film Florida was figuring out how to take the next step as an organization. And really what that meant was, as a volunteer-based organization, it's hard to accomplish all your goals when nobody is focusing on it all day, every day.
Mhm.
And so they had decided as an organization that they needed to hire a full-time executive director. At the time, I was involved in the conversations. I didn't know it was going to be me, but as things progressed and the timing actually just kind of worked out really well. And I've been, they hired me, you know, and I've been in this role for about 5 years. My role, I always tell people, it's part sales, part finance, part marketing, part operations, and part lobbyist, even though I'm not a registered lobbyist. So I do a little bit of everything. As far as where the organization is going to go, I think we're going to continue to grow and expand. Just in the last couple of years, we've started a new podcast that hopefully everybody listens to. We just started a new initiative earlier this year called Film Florida Fridays, which is a monthly event similar to what this is, but where we talk to leaders of the industry. We're doing a lot more in terms of, you know, marketing outside of the state of Florida to try and attract more business here, given some of the challenges that we have legislatively. And we're continuing to make progress in Tallahassee. I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit later, I think, but it's easy to say, well, we're not really accomplishing our main goals because we haven't gotten the ultimate goal across the finish line. But there are a lot of incremental things that we have accomplished, a lot of things that we're making progress on. And I always tell people from a legislative standpoint that our goal is to put ourselves in the best position for success. After that, we don't control what decisions are made. And so we're doing that, and we're making good decisions, and we're building good relationships. But I think we're going to continue just to grow and do more. The more members we have, the more ability we have to do things throughout the entire state. So I'm really excited about the future of Film Florida. I mean, I've been in this role for 5 years. It seems like I've kind of blinked and gotten to 5 years. So there's kind of no telling what the next 5 years might bring. So I just want to, thanks for asking a few questions there, but I want to jump back to you guys if we can. So Tamara, the one thing I wanted to ask you is there's a difference between being an actor and then being a successful actor. So talk about some of the intangibles you see that help an actor become successful.
So to answer your question, I want all the actors that are on the conference to pay attention right now. You have to be a hyphenate. To be a working actor, you have to be an actor, and you have to be brilliant, of course, and I'm sure you all are. But you also have to be a writer, a cinematographer, a director, a sound technician. You have all of these other things that you have to do now besides being an actor. And once you accept that you're doing all of those things, find joy in it. And the point of being an actor, writer, director is as soon as you get something that you've written that you get on YouTube, or that you direct a friend's short film, put that on your IMDb, and that really gives you, on paper, it gives you more credence, but also once you work in front of the camera as an actor, you have one perspective, but when you work behind the camera, it makes you such a better actor, because you see it from the director's point of view, the producer's point of view, the cinematographer's point of view, any of those ways that you can produce content and be more creative is really helps you be a better actor, and it makes you more marketable, and you meet a ton of people in the process.
Excellent.
I hope I answered the question.
Yes. So we're going to continue with some of the questions, but if people in the audience have any questions they want to ask, go ahead and raise your hand. We're going to get through like one or two more, and then we'll jump into some audience ones, and then we'll come back to some of these that with the kind of prepared ones. So if you have any questions, make sure you use that hand raising function in Zoom, and we'll call on you. Adam, you talked a little bit about living in Florida and having to travel. So can an actor really make a good living in film and television in Florida? And if so, what's the path? You're kind of a good example as to how to make it work.
Well, thank you for that, John. I certainly did. I didn't have to work as hard, in the early 2000s until about 2010, 2012. But there was so much SAG work. I mean, you had seasons back then, and a lot of it's streaming, but you had a commercial season. You knew that January, February, March, you were going to book 2 or 3 commercials because there was so much production in Tampa, in Jacksonville, in Gulf Breeze, Florida, in Miami, in the Keys, because the snowbirds would come down here and shoot. And I remember doing shoots in Jacksonville where I was freezing. It was 35 degrees, but to us, that's -0. Convertible across the bridge.
House would undercut me, force me to do a procedure. I just argued. I look like a hypocrite.
But it's all how it looks. And so
Potential future employers.
work is,
Right.
that means
Go back down to kid with liver failure. He could.
that's not my computer. I don't know what.
Nope, no, I got it. Sorry, somebody had their microphone off mute.
But that's, people would come down and do that, and you'd have industrials. You could do like a how-to instructional video for someone that just gets hired at Planet Hollywood. You're a member of Planet Hollywood now. And those were all union, and so you can make a good living. Now I've had to get more creative. We all have, with so much different media out there. But I mean, I think that you can make a living in Florida, but you just have to be ready to travel. You have to be ready all the time. You have to be ready to tape or record, vocals if you do a lot of voiceover, which I do a ton of voiceover as well. And you have to be ready all the time, and you have to be willing to take the failure, because it's 50 voiceover auditions to get one of those, big ones. And so you just have to. You certainly can, but like anything, the rewards that you get out of having a successful career in entertainment, be it behind the camera or in front of the camera, the rewards are so plentiful that you have to realize the amount of work that goes into it. But everybody in this Zoom meeting right now, there's something in you that makes you do this, because this is your Thursday night, and you decided to come and sit here because there's something in you telling you to do it, because there's at least 100,000 other people that have that same thing in them that don't do anything with it. Oh, I'll never, well, I've always thought I should, but you're here. So that's one of the first steps. And being a member of the union when you have the opportunity, and joining Film Florida, doing all these things that collaborate to make sure that we have the work. That's what it's all about. So if you do everything possible, yes, you can make a very good living as a performer, actor, whatever, in this. And to Tamara's comment about doing it all, if you can sit on a casting, oh my gosh, you will have a whole completely different perspective to watch 15 actors come in and do the exact same 4 lines or 4 pages or whatever, and see that, I mean, up front. I mean, any chance you get to get into a casting, I would jump on that so you can see it.
And Adam, a question came in on the chat here. I'll ask you, for an actor with little to no experience on camera, would you recommend doing voiceover acting or background acting as a good starting point?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you can get on set for background work, I would get on set. You're not going to make a lot of money, especially if it's non-union background work, but you're going to be on a set. And while you're on that set, utilize that time to figure out what's going on. The veterans can walk on a set and point out the producers, the director, the key grips, everything, the wardrobe, like that. It's a fraternity of people. So watch and learn from everybody. As far as the voiceover and the on-camera stuff, classes. Do any play theater that you possibly can, but study. Get as any chance you can get in front of a camera, downloading auditions. What's great about the internet now, whereas it used to not have that, is you have any kind of scene that you want to find, you can find out there. Get your camera out, put yourself on camera, get the lighting and everything, see how you look. Spend 8 hours a day. Seriously, I'm not kidding, 8 hours a day seeing how you can work the camera. And the camera's here, and I'm doing a scene with somebody here, and they give me something to think about. You can tell the experienced actors, well, think about it out here. The unexperienced actors will think about it out here. Well, you can't see anything that's going on out here. So just little things like that you can learn just by doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. Like anything, repetition will get you there. So absolutely, yes, do everything you possibly can, but don't do it too soon. So like, don't put a demo reel together tomorrow if you've never done voiceover. take some classes. There's classes out there. Same with acting. You know, there's on-camera acting, commercial acting, auditioning acting, camera acting for auditioning on tape acting. I mean, you've got to take all the classes. You really do.
And Tamara, we got a question that somebody sent in earlier on email and says, how's the industry changed over the past few years regarding to the audition process? So talk a little bit about how technology has really changed things.
Yes. So now I would say most of my, 80% of my auditions I tape here in my home studio. So technology has changed the ability that I have to audition. I audition for casting directors in Atlanta and New Orleans and Wilmington and really all over the Southeast from my home. I've built a studio in my home and made sure that it's, you know, up to speed tech wise. But that is a completely different process. And I will interrupt myself for a second. What's really interesting is when an actor gets used to taping their own auditions, and then you get a callback, an in-person callback, which I think is coming back post-COVID, you get rusty when you have to walk in the room and you gotta, you know, hit your mark, and you know, you had to park your car and you had to, all that stuff. So
really interesting.
Still interrupting myself, always find a way to keep your joints oiled as a performer, whether it's doing improv or stand-up, or, you know, if you have a side hustle as a DJ, or you do anything where you're in front of people and you have to perform, that's something you should always do, because you can't fake that when you go into a live audition. You can't fake it. So I'm not good at zeroing back in on the question, John, but
No, that was good. That was good.
Okay.
I like that. So we got a question from one of our audience members. So Leanza, I am going to add the spotlight, and if you could unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Okie dokie. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. Hi, Tamara. Hi, Jake. Hi, everybody. Okay, great. Oh, and hi, John. Thank you. Okay, so I want to understand, please, can you break down why an agent wouldn't want to help you get a union job that would have a bigger percentage? Because I would think that, you know, they get a bigger percentage versus a non-union.
Adam, that's all you.
Okay.
That's a great question. You know, why would they? So if you're just starting out and you haven't done anything and you want to get into the business, so to speak, and you go and do a buyout for $1,000, your agent could take, if it's non-union and you're not in the union, up to 40, 50, 60%. Let's just argue and say they take 40% of that. So you're getting $600 minus taxes, or they'll give you a 1099 for it. Whereas $1,000 for an agent, you know, with the 10% is $100. So there are agents out there that will want to develop a career. They see a true talent, they have the ins, they can get you in the reads for the Atlanta shows and the Florida shows that come through, and they really will take you under their wing and believe in you, and you'll know by the auditions that you get. And then there are agents out there that are in it for financial reasons, and so they'll only pitch you and get you in for those big paying perpetuity $10,000 one-time buyout gigs. And as somebody that's been in business for a long time, my medical, my dental, my pension, everything for my entire family. I've got 2 kids. I've got a wife of 21 years. All that has always been through Screen Actors Guild. It's been a great marriage for me, but it's also like being able to cipher through all that, the nonsense of the non-union stuff and the big one-time payouts, but you're blocked for the rest of your life. From other, you know, you've done a Universal spot, now you can never do a Walt Disney spot ever again. But the next Walt Disney union spot was over $150,000 because you got lifted and you were in 4 spots. You just never know with union gigs what's going to happen. I think that kind of answers your question. Just always, the best advice I can give right now, and I don't know your experience level, is always try to figure out what their agenda is. What's their agenda? Why are they telling me not to join the union? Why are they telling me that I should sign this perpetuity contract. Just always just try to figure it out and try to step aside from it and ask people that are in the business, that work under contracts, that work all the time. Ask. I mean, I'll put my phone number out here. Call me, text me, whatever. I mean, I love helping people get going. I really do. It's one of my favorite things to do, because your successes are my successes, because I'm in the union and we're brothers and sisters. That's how. I'm not kidding. I'm serious about that.
Okay, awesome. Just another thing. So just to have that conversation and then just step back, give it a couple of months and see where it goes with my agent.
Oh, with your agent. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely, give any agent, no names at all. Having an agent is better than not having an agent. And you can use having an agent to your advantage. So an agent, let's just say the agent gets 10%, 20%, whatever. They're only going to do 10 or 20% of the work. So you've got to do the other work. You've got to be on all the sites. We won't plug any of them.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Meeting yourself, auditioning for things, getting yourself out there. And then when the agent starts to get things that she didn't submit you for, and then suddenly like, well, wait, hold on a second. How did you get, I got that myself. They're going to take interest in you. And then you'll be like, I'm going with a bigger agent now, You got to get your own stuff. That's the thing.
Right. Got to grind. Okay, one more thing. So why do you say about Florida, like we should be SAG even though this is a right to work?
I've been hogging.
Is that kind of how it connects? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Adam. Well, Adam, let's go on to that. I'm gonna lower the hand. I mean, that's a question we have for later, but I wanna touch on it. Florida is a right to work state. And as we know from, some legislation that had come, the state is generally anti-union. I mean, that's just kind of a fact. So how does that play in to being part of a union in Florida, knowing where the state stands on it?
This one for me?
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to hit both of you on this. So Adam, why don't you go first?
Well, I will say that the Screen Actors Guild, and maybe I'm blinded by love, but it is bigger than the state. It is bigger than anything else, because it's the union that when I said that I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a part of. I'm also part of Equity, and that's to me that's more than just a card.
Now you're just bragging.
Yeah, and AGVA, if you know what that is, American Guild for
I remember.
Because I'm a juggler. But yeah, so I'm a big union guy, and it doesn't come from me living up in the Northeast or whatever. It just comes from knowing what they've done for me, and what, the way I've been protected on sets and in front of crowds and everything. And the wages, they make sure that you make a living wage. There's a huge, right now, a huge thing with politics is the living wages and the minimum wage and all that stuff. Well, the unions have always fought for and gotten us a living wage. And while people still complain about it, you're still making a lot more than you would if you were making minimum wage. So in a right to work state, why should you join the union? It's a personal opinion, and it's a personal choice that you have. It's kind of like you'll know when you're ready. So let's just say you've never done anything, and you go out and you get a SAG national commercial. You might not be ready for the union, but this is where you ask your peers, you ask everybody. You can stay eligible, and in a right to work state, you can stay eligible for a very long time. We're going to tell you that you have to join. You should join, but I really believe you should do it when it's personally and professionally ready for you. So it's one of those things. But I just don't know why anybody would be eligible and then not want to be part of the biggest thing in, like it'd be like saying that I'm going to go play Canadian football, even though I was drafted for the NFL, but I don't really like the NFL because I don't have to join the NFL. I can join to me, it's the varsity. It's the real world. It's the real actors. It's people that have done the time.
Tamara, how about you? Right to work state.
Well, right to work state is a phrase that is used. And what it really means is we have a right to work as Floridians for less money, for longer hours, for no bonds on our vendors that maybe will never actually get paid. I think that that phrase is just something that people use to kind of belittle actors actually in this industry. And really the best way I want to work with the best people. I want to work, if I have the opportunity and the blessing to work with the most talented, successful people, those are the people with whom I would like to work. And that's kind of that.
And
Makes
it does cross party lines, because we had Governor Bush, who had a brilliant incentive, the 5-year, 265 million that he had, and there was a lot of work here. There really was. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have any incentives now, but it does cross party lines. But again, we have to go back to the producer's point of view. If I can get you for X amount of money in a right to work state, oh, you have the right. You don't have to join the union. So I'm going to give you $5,000, and you'll do this and 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 this. Whereas you could have gotten $150,000 to just do this, as you should have, because you trained and worked, and you know your likeness is worth money. And yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, good. Okay, self-serving question here. Tamara, you're a member of Film Florida, as we've talked about. Why did you join, and how's it helped you?
I joined Film Florida because I was asked to join Film Florida, and I wanted to be part of a collective industry group. And I would say the number one benefit that I personally have gotten in my profession is the opportunity to network with behind the camera people, producers, directors, producers and directors that I've had the opportunity to meet at Film Florida events back when they were in person. That has been so useful. I have gotten jobs from that, and that's been a really, and the networking, and also the information. When you work on one side of an industry and you hear information from another side of it, it's incredibly educational and helpful.
Knowledge
And
is
then
power.
also, my passion on another side of my life is government and policy, and the opportunity to help our industry in that area. Working with Film Florida I like that.
Excellent. So Adam, you and I have actually known each other a long time, and I don't even know if you know that we knew each other. But I first came across you when you were doing voiceovers and ADR at my old work, my old business, and so we've seen each other for a very long time.
Yes.
And you joined Film Florida a couple of years ago. Assuming you're happy you did, talk about why.
I really didn't know that Film Florida was a thing until you told me about it. And then I did a little bit of research. I'm like, why wouldn't I be a part of this? But again, I'm very much about what is somebody's motive, and what is Film Florida's motive to bring industry work to Florida. I mean, it just is a no brainer. When I was I was shooting something in North Carolina, and they had a bumper sticker, and it was like, was it film in Carolina, you bet your, and then it had the AESS or whatever. And it was like, wow, what a great bumper sticker. And, just to know that every state has to fight to get productions there. And we've seen that there are states that successfully have blown everybody else out of the water. And it's frustrating when we have more to offer in Florida. And Film Florida seems to be the Band-Aid, or one of the many things that the bridge between the two, of getting the work when somebody's sitting in their, in their executive office in Los Angeles or New York and thinking like, okay, we got to make a movie, where we're going to shoot. And they used to think Florida right away. Now they're thinking Georgia. Let's get them back to thinking Florida. We have so many more things for them to shoot here, and so many more atmospheres and small towns and beaches and mountains and mountains, Tallahassee, and we have all that. So we see the amount of money that it brings in. We see that it's a clean industry. Arguably it's $8 for every dollar spent to get productions down here or to Florida. We watched Walking Dead create an entire city, and then the people are taking their week-long vacations. Instead of going to Disney World, they're going to that city so they can walk around and go, that's where they shot this, that's where they shot that. It should be Florida. We were on track to have it, and why we're not is a whole other reason. But Film Florida, I think, is one of the very big keys to get us back to that. And why wouldn't I want to be a part of that? If my membership helps, then I'm all for it.
Excellent. Good. So, I mean, you talked a little bit about the incentive stuff, and I thought maybe this is a good time to get in a little bit of what Film Florida does in terms of the advocacy work. And so, I often get questions about, you know, what can I do to help? Like people call me up, they send me emails, what can I do to help? So essentially what Film Florida does is we try and build relationships with legislators. And so from my perspective as the executive director, I try and build as many relationships across the board with legislators that are going to be making decisions in Tallahassee. And so there's a total of 160 of them between the House and the Senate. Well, obviously it's impossible for me to build those relationships. So we enlist the help of our members. And what I often tell people is if you can spend 2 to 4 hours a month on your membership within Film Florida, whether that means, you know, some emails, some phone calls, some Zoom meetings, those type of things, you're going to get a lot out of your membership. Part of that is I ask people to send me their home address and I look up who their local legislators are, their state representative, their state senator. And I can give them all the backstory on those legislators. Do they support? If so, why? If not, why not? What are their hot buttons? What are the kind of the red flags to stay away from? Because legislators remember personal stories. I can talk to them about numbers and analytics and Georgia until I'm blue in the face. But when one of you sits in front of a legislator, either virtually or in person, or even on the phone and says, Mr. and Mrs. Legislator, I have to leave my family for weeks on end and go spend money, and this is Adam's story, go spend money in New Orleans with housing and food and expenditures. I'm leaving my family at home instead of keeping that money here in our economy. I'm spending it in another state. You're losing tax dollars and I'm losing time with my family. Everybody has a story, whether it's pulling at the heartstrings or whether it's just, you know, an everyday story. And so we ask people to share those stories with legislators. We don't ask people to get in the weeds on why is this legislation this and why is it bad. We just want people to tell personal stories and make sure that the legislators remember those stories. You know, one of the things that probably will surprise some people on this is that of the 160 legislators, we have overwhelming support in Tallahassee. Most of the time when we're having meetings, it's preaching to the choir. The challenge is those that don't support us, unfortunately, are in some leadership positions. And so if you run across the wrong legislator in a committee or you know, as a committee chair or a place of leadership, and they just decide they don't want to support us, they just stonewall it. And that's what has happened the last few years. We've had great support. This year, we actually had more co-sponsors on our bills than in the last 10 years. But we had one legislator in the House and one on the Senate that just decided they were putting their foot down and they weren't going to let our bills be heard in agendas. And so obviously that's really frustrating. And, you know, Gail's up here, our president, she's shaking her head because she knows, you know, what we go through. And she was just as frustrated, and we had to walk each other off the ledge a few times during this last legislative session. But we know that this issue is bigger than just, you know, throwing up our arms and saying, I'm done. And so we go through the stages of grief. And then, you know, a month after legislative session, you get back on the horse and you start prepping for next legislative session. And this week was kind of my kickoff for the 2022 legislative session. I've had 4 meetings already this week with legislators. And I have a handful next week, and I'm going to continue. And, you know, so it's difficult because, you know, people, here, 2 more points, and then I'll stop boring you with legislative talk. 2 more points. Number one is, please don't wait until the week of legislative session starting to send me an email and saying, how can I help? At that point, it's almost too late. Get involved now. Like I said, I had 4 meetings this week. I didn't have a problem getting any of those meetings because it's summer. They have the time, they have the interest. If you're interested in helping and supporting, send me your email address. I think everybody has my email address from this registration, but if you don't, It's jlux@filmflorida.org. So the letter J, LUX at filmflorida.org. Send me your home address. I'll get you the information so you can reach out to your local legislators. The really frustrating thing though is, people say, well, let's just vote them out. Let's just vote them out. Well, there's 160 legislators. You get to vote for 2 of them. So the person who may be stonewalling us may live 500 miles from you, because they're at the other end of the state and you can't vote for them. And it's very difficult to pick a county in somewhere in Florida. Well, if we don't have a lot of industry professionals that live in that county to call on that legislator, it is difficult to build that relationship and share those stories. And so as much kind of grassroots help that we can get is what we really need. So I hope I didn't bore anybody. If anybody has any other questions about legislative or this, please, by all means, raise your hand, use the hand raising function. Oh, Tina, okay. I see you raising your hand. So let me spotlight you. You got to take yourself off mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can, go right ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to say, having been in Screen Actors Guild and Equity since 1970, I think I win.
Yeah, absolutely.
51 years. It's like saying you went to Harvard. So I'm telling all of you who are debating whether or not to do it, it's like saying, if you're not in Screen Actors Guild, you just went, well, you didn't maybe go to college, but if you went into Screen Actors Guild, you've gone to Harvard. I just came to that as I was thinking. And the other thing is, I told you, John, I wrote you about this, that I've worked with everybody. But I lived in New York for the last 10 years. And then I've started writing books, and one of them is being made into a movie. And I have pushed very hard that it's being done down here in Florida, because it really takes place in Honolulu, Georgia. And that's what I wrote you, John. That's why
Yes.
I'm getting involved, because I was just flabbergasted that we were going to Georgia when it's so perfect here. And I didn't realize that this was such a problem legislaturely, whatever the word is.
Yep.
And maybe we should get the names of the 2 that are blackballing us or whatever. So I'm certainly happy to call them.
Well, Tina, I have your email highlighted in here. I wanted to get through this, and then I'm going to get back in touch with you, and you and I are going to have a conversation offline and get you engaged. Go ahead, Adam.
Can I add something to that? I signed an NDA, so I can't say anything about it, but there's a show that I just read for, and it's shooting in Wilmington, and it takes place in Orlando, essentially, and then some beach towns that they've named. And one of the lines in it is like, you know how Orlando is. If you've got a collar on your shirt, they make you the mayor. And it's shooting in Wilmington. It's all about Orlando, the beach towns. It's all about Florida, and they're shooting in Wilmington. So it's already signed for 8 episodes on a major streaming network and blah, blah, blah. So the frustration just never ends. Like the right stuff shot here, and it shot like 15 miles from my house, and I had a guest star part on it, and I got to see my kids and kiss them and said, I'll be home tonight. It was amazing. And, that's a personal thing. And I certainly don't mind if I have to go to Wilmington to shoot it, but I shouldn't have to, So Tina, thank you for that. I wanted to say, I hope you get your thing shot here. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't think,
Congratulations, Tina.
Yes, congrats. That's awesome.
Well, I have been in a lot of movies, and it was just nice to now have written one. And as you said, you have to start getting behind the camera. Everything everybody was saying to you is true. I have one thing about Screen Actors Guild. When you turn 65 or 70, they stop giving you insurance. Did you know this? That started this year. And Whoopi Goldberg and all these people are fighting.
I will speak to that. We've had there's SAG-AFTRA, and then there's the SAG-AFTRA Pension and Health. They're 2 different organizations.
I know this.
Per federal law, but we had a big hit.
I understand every bit of it. I'm just saying that Screen Actors Guild has done wonders, and Equity, for me all these years. I'm totally grateful. They helped us get other insurance. But when Adam was going on about insurance, I thought, I just want to warn him that start saving it, or they did put us into other places brilliantly. I was totally impressed with the way it was done.
Yeah, no, and I know completely about it too. And
50 years being, a member, and then
it hurts.
You got
it
screwed.
didn't hurt. It was just surprising.
Yeah.
I understood it, but it was surprising. And I think that it was people who are older that need it perhaps. My husband and I are both fine, but I'm knocking on wood. But there are people that aren't, and they don't know how to readjust, and it's sort of interesting. But again, as I say, it's like going to Harvard, even years later.
All right, thanks, Tina. We're gonna move on. Neil, I got you up, but I also is your question about the screenwriters. So Neil's question is: should actors connect with screenwriters?
So can you say that again, please?
Do you think that actors should connect with screenwriters, to your point of being more well-rounded? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, if you have the ability to connect with a writer, I'm sorry, I'm trying to make this thing go away. If you have the ability to connect with a writer, definitely. I mean, do it in a professional way. If you have a connection with them, if you have an interaction with them, definitely. I mean, yes,
Good.
In any industry, if you have the ability to connect with another professional, for sure.
In your world, yeah, absolutely.
So Bonnie, I have you up next. Do you want to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, well, the main question I wanted to ask actually was just the name of the legislators, the members that are turning down our stuff. And then also I had another question.
Oh.
We lost you, Bonnie.
Bonnie, we lost you at the end of that question. What was the second part?
Is this better?
Yes.
Yeah.
It goes onto my earbuds and then it just stops letting me talk. Okay. The second question was, I got an email about a bill that is coming around, and it was where they're increasing some funding, some grants for some of the organizations that want to make the movies in Florida. Can you tell us a little bit more about the stipulations on that, and if there's a way to maybe make it better for like startups?
This the grants or the contracts you're talking about?
Yeah, I think she's talking about grants. The only grants that I'm familiar with that are through different arts organizations. And a lot of those grants go to 501c3s. That's some of the challenge that we actually have as an organization. We're a 501c6, and so we're not eligible for a lot of grants. There's something through the state now. I'm drawing a blank on what they call it now. A job growth fund, I think, is what is through the state, but it is not eligible for specific companies. Like, you can't just say, I'm gonna make a film and I want X amount of dollars. You actually have to show that you're adding to infrastructure and you're adding full-time jobs. Educational things are big there. So we actually applied for one of our seminars that we did a couple of years ago. We applied for a grant and didn't get approved. So, but there isn't anything specifically for that. In terms of which legislators are kind of stonewalling, it wouldn't be smart for me to just start blasting out names. It doesn't make sense. If you don't live in that general area, it's not going to make any sense. If we were to say, like, everybody on this meeting, let's start sending emails, all we're going to do is aggravate those legislators, and they're going to dig their heels in even more. Playing hardball with them, in the end, we have nothing to do but lose, because they don't have to help us. So that's why I say, send me your home address, because that is a direct link to those legislators in your area, and those are the ones that are going to listen to you. So, all right. So let's see. Anelia, did I pronounce that right? Okay. Go ahead, and I'm going to add you to the spotlight. Go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Tamara and Adam and John, for doing this. I have a question when it comes to the union, and as well Tina had mentioned in with this. I've been an actor here in Florida for almost probably 10 years. I've known Tamara for years as well. And I have been non-union. I have wanted to go union, but unfortunately, I have not found that there is enough union work to sustain in between. I've had to stay local when my mother was ill, and then when I had cancer. So I have not had the opportunity to travel as much. as some out of the state. And so my question really comes down to, while I would love to join the union, I have found my agents for non-union work only take 10% for non-union work.
That's good.
They're not taking over the union rate, but how are we bringing in, or are we getting more union work? Because while I would love to work union, if there just isn't any work, what are we going to do?
Well, from a union point of view, as a union actor, and I don't cross the line to do non-union work, I can tell you financially, if you do one national commercial, you're golden. It's, I mean, you can make easily 6 digits. I mean, it is the lottery, but it's a lottery that you can rig yourself, because if you're ready to go when that part comes and all the stars align, it happens, and it does happen. I'm a testament to that. And so are so many people in Florida. There's a gentleman in Central Florida who has done, I think, 3 or 4 national commercials, and I know he has made over $200,000 on one of his Universal spots and still won't join the union. And it's the most frustrating thing in the world to me, because the union is the only reason he gets that check and those checks and everything. To answer your question, it's one of those things that if you join the union and you get one of those jobs, then you can breathe easy, because you've made your benefits for the entire year. You get residuals. You can look at your residuals on your phone and see, oh, I got this coming and this guy. It's fun, and you've earned it. So if you're eligible and you haven't joined yet and you've been in the business this long, because when it comes down to like the work that you want to do, the TV shows and the movies and everything, I dare to say you're not getting those because no one wants to do the paperwork. They get the paperwork to make somebody that's non-union union in a Taft-Hartley situation. It's just something like, okay, it's 2 lines. We'll just go to somebody else, and so it's easy for them to say no to it. And once you're union, you're already in that club. So there's no question. If you're the best, you're the best, and you can be the best and be non-union and lose the job because of that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I've just noticed less union auditions coming through over the last 10 years in general. And so I didn't know if we're just not getting as many union projects especially since the incentives aren't here.
Yeah, we're definitely not getting as many union commercials, but all it takes is that one, I've got one that I shot in 2009, and then it's a regional commercial, but every 13 weeks I get this big check for the 13 weeks. And it's Wawa, I'll tell you, because Wawa came to Central Florida, and it was a gold mine, and I wouldn't have gotten it, A, if I wasn't union, and B, if I didn't audition. So, they when they come through, you never know what you're going to get.
Thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I just have to say, hi, Aniela. I love. She is one of the most talented actors. She is so amazing.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Comedy and drama.
Thank you, my love. Thank you both for doing this. All right, I will take off. I'll put myself on mute.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
I was going to say something and now I totally drew a blank. All right. Well, I'm thinking about what it was. Leanza, you got your hand up, so I'm going to put you back up and you can ask another question.
Okay, thank you. So I emailed my legislator, and just sharing whatever I'm supposed to share, but I don't know if they ever read it, and I don't know if that actually makes a difference. I just don't feel like I'm doing anything. I feel like I've hit a dead wall, and I know that I will join Film Florida and all that, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything. And then I thought that we could contact the senator and the legislator, but then you made your point, but like, what do we do? I just
send me an email offline and we can get into some of the next steps. I mean, it is very frustrating if you reach out to them and they don't respond. I just kind of treat it no different than anyone else. If let's just say I send an email on a Monday, I'll give them a week. And if I don't hear from them, then the following Monday, I'll send a follow-up because it's very easy for them to just ignore it. That's kind of what some of them would prefer, is that you lose interest. So I'll send them an email on a Monday, give them a week, send a follow-up if I don't hear anything, change the email a little bit, just say, hey, just wanted to follow up. If you don't hear anything for another week, maybe give them 2 weeks there, give them the benefit of the doubt. At a certain point, you kind of realize, okay, they just don't want to talk to me. No.
sorry, excuse me. I don't think it's like that because they actually support us.
Right.
You know, they're one of those that support us. And I told them that if there's anything that you want me to do, or, you know, I share the news, like maybe to vote for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
So follow up. Okay.
Yeah, just check with, send me an email and tell me who it
Okay.
is, and we'll share stories, and we'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
All
It's
right.
easy to get frustrated. It is. I mean, it's like anything. If you have 50 auditions and you don't get one call back, you know, you don't quit. You just don't quit. So, you know, and there's certainly a nice way to go about talking to the legislation and the exact senators and everything. But it also, you know, your persistence is always going to pay off, and you may not see it, but to think that your vote doesn't count or that your influence doesn't count, that's just not the way to think. You have to know that everything you do does matter. Stay with it.
Amen. Okay, thank you.
So I remembered what I was going to say earlier. So, and I'm not going to name any names, but this actor did register for tonight, but is not here. And
Oh, let's blast him.
Oh, I want to hear who it is.
no. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. But so here's my point. Here's my point, because Adam, you were just talking about it a little bit. When we post things on social media, she will occasionally comment and say, we need more union projects in Florida. And no one disagrees with that. I guess my question is, do people actually think that we're sitting around and saying, oh, this is a union job? No. We don't want you to come to Florida. Like, I don't understand. Like, we're trying to get every piece of work we can possibly get, whether it's union, non-union. If there's a third option, we'll get that too, because we want people to work. I just don't everybody's doing the best they can in a tough situation.
Is this actor or actress a member of Film Florida?
No, of course not.
There you go. I mean, you know, we're a member of the union. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're a member of the union because they're pushing more for SAG-AFTRA jobs. But hey, and I make no bones about it. When somebody calls or emails or comments on social media and is complaining about something that's going on in the industry, the first thing I say is, wow, it sounds like you're ready to join Film Florida and get involved and get engaged. And most of the time they stop right there, because it's easier to just, you know, kind of bitch and complain than actually get involved and do something. So just real quick, Adam, I'm watching your time. Are you good here?
Yeah, I can do about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
So then, can I ask Adam a couple questions?
Please.
From the peanut gallery?
Yeah.
Adam, for our colleagues, can you give us your 3 top audition tips for self-taping?
Self-taping. Yes, stay in bounds. That's the biggest thing. In bounds is your first base and your third base. If I tell you that you're doing a commercial and you are a what would you call it? A worker in a hotel, which is a national spot that just came through as Universal, and it was for workers in a hotel. So I had people coming in, because I tape actors as well. So I had people coming in, and this is their cart. I'm trying to get it around on camera. This is their cart, and they're pushing the cart through the hallway. So first off, they're doing this. Nope, right here. Here you go. I'll do this. So you're on a subway and you're reading the paper. Everybody's going to do this. I'm on the subway, I'm reading the paper. No, you're on the subway and you're reading the paper. Now I got you. I got your eyes. I can see what you're doing. So stay in bounds. In bounds is the most important thing. It may feel really weird to look over here and act to a paper clip, but this is better than this, always. So that's number 1. You asked.
In bounds. Okay, got it.
In bounds. Number 2, find a way to put yourself into whatever you're auditioning with. So if you've never been a maitre d' at a restaurant and that's what you're reading for, figure out something. You've served food before, you've eaten food before, you know something about food or whatever it is, or serving people or talking to people. So find something in yourself that you can do, and then just be genuine. I mean, that's the bottom line. Be genuine, and always know that you're going to book it. Why would you get dressed and drive to an audition if you're not going to book the job? You have to believe you're going to book it. So you don't want to walk out of there saying, I don't know, it was a commercial. I don't know how I did. You know how you did. You should know exactly how you did, and you should be marking your calendar of the callback is on this day, so I can't do anything, and I shoot this day and this day. So if you don't do that with every single audition, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You don't believe in yourself enough.
Excellent. So Adam, well, actually for both of you, because this is another email that was sent in. Now, I don't want to reveal anything or make any comments, but neither one of you are in your 20s anymore, right?
Well, John.
Well, my children are.
Okay, so the question was for somebody, you know, he actually says, I'm in my 50s, so I'll reveal it because he said that. And he knows that it's a struggle as you get older in acting. Talk about, you guys have progressed in your career. Has it been easier, harder? What are you seeing the difference from when you're, okay, Tamara, you got something to say, you go first.
As a woman who started as an actor and then as a model, there's definitely a fall off in what any actor has to do. You have to package yourself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I assume this was a man, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you have to look at yourself and say, would I book me as the newscaster? Would I book myself as the FBI agent? Would I book myself as the, tech entrepreneur or the CEO or the mechanic or whatever that is? You need to be very honest with yourself or the drug addict. I mean, any of that you can do, you need to narrow down your bookability. And, we don't call it branding anymore because that's passe, but really what your brand is. And also really look back at what you have booked and don't ignore that, look at your track record. I got into, for legit work and film and television, I have been an FBI agent, a judge, a Coast Guard officer, a street cop. Like, those are the parts that I book. And so, you know what, I'm going to go with that. And gratefully, those people age well. So,
yeah, go ahead.
That I'll say, I've gone from rookie cop and frat boy to seasoned pro, and and I play cops a lot. And I've been asked by family and friends, are you sick of playing a cop? No, my name's on a call sheet. I booked it. I'm fine.
Typecast me all day long.
Yeah, cop me.
Okay, I have a charming story to tell. So I was at a certain casting director in Miami, and I was auditioning for Magic City. And it's a period piece. It was 1950s. I was in a party gown. I was in a whole thing, right? But I might have happened to see an email with a script for another television show that was being cast at the same time, which had a great scene for two street cops, two men. And I got a bee in my bonnet. I want to audition for that. It so happened I finished my Magic City audition. I asked the casting director, hey, could I audition for such and such project? That's a cop, written for a man. And this casting director said, no, Tamara. And I said, okay, thank you very much. And I left. I went out to my car, got in my car. She opened the office window and she yelled out of the second story in North Miami Beach, Adam, you know exactly who it is. And she goes, Tamara, all right, come up. Long story short is I booked the role, written for a man, as a street cop. And when I was at the callback with the director, Jonathan Frakes, a really great actor and director, he complimented her on bringing in a woman for a role written for a man.
So she looked great doing it. That's awesome.
So just pleasantly push is my
yes, that's hard.
Every actor.
Well, I have a story that is within this week. It's Thursday, so then I gotta go. So they had there's an audition that's out there. There's a film, a Hallmark film that's filming, same casting director, that's filming in Florida, about 2 hours from Orlando. And so all these auditions are coming in. So my agent, who's about to go on vacation, sent out a breakdown of everything and and said, I know you'll know who to audition or which part you're auditioning for. Here's your instructions, whatever. And so there was a part in there that was late 30s to early 40s, and he's kind of rude and da 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 da. And then there was a part that was mid 50s, which I am not, but mid 50s, and he's a TV exec, very stern, da 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 da. So I assumed that it was this, guy that he's ordering ketchup for his filet mignon and all this stuff. And mignon, did I have a G in there? Sorry, filet mignon. He's ordering ketchup. So I figured that's what I was auditioning for. But I double checked, and she's like, no, you're going for the TV exec. It's just, I feel like I know who I am, and I know that I would have done that one better, but that's not what the part called for, and I have to realize that. So I mean, even if you've done this for years, sometimes you miss the key on it. You just it just sucks. but it's such a fun industry. And if you treat it as a game and you fall in love with the auditions and the process, and the minute you get that call, check your email, you have an audition, you check the email and you start to think about what you're going to wear and how you're going to do this, and you see the sides and you live with those. And by the time you get in there, there's coffee stains and food stains on your sides, and you're ready to go. That's the thing. And the work is whatever. That's afterwards. You have to fall in love with the journey. That'd be my only advice to actors out there.
Yeah, I'm not an actor, but I've actually heard that from 2 other people as well in my years, that you have to love the process. Actually getting booked is just kind of like the extra stuff. But if you don't love the process, you're never going to make it. So
2 different skill sets.
Adam, I know you got to run, but I really appreciate you taking the time. Love having you on, and we're going to continue with a couple more questions with Tamara. Thanks, Adam.
And I put my number, my email, and everything. So please, if you guys ever have any questions or anything, anybody about anything, I mean, I'm totally here for you. So
have a great gig. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. By the way, I'm DJing tonight. That's what I do. That's my survival job. A corporate DJ. Lilly Pharmaceuticals is having me DJ. So
nice.
Awesome. Lots of drugs.
Thank you.
All right. Tamara, question for you. And so I'm going to ask a question because I'm not an actor and I don't understand, but I actually get a lot of emails from prospective actors that say, I don't even know how to audition. Like, I don't even know how to get called in for auditions. Like, explain if someone is an actor and they're not getting auditions and they're not getting opportunities, is that the problem with them, or is that the problem with their agent?
Well, I'm going to go before that question. Maybe, I don't know if some of the emails that you get, actors have to have an agent. Don't ever do anything not through an agent, period, end of story. Even if you get a gig on your own somehow, send it to your agent. You always need that buffer, 100%. But if in their relationship with their agent, they're not getting auditions, they need to, first of all, assess, have I given my agent everything my agent asked for? So that might be updated headshots in the proper format. Have I put all of my material up on, there's about 5 industry websites that we as actors have to post our material to. And it's actually kind of confusing. Like some, Actors Access might have this format, and then Casting Network, it's this format, and you have to adjust your photos, and it's a whole thing. So make sure that your agent has all of the material that they have requested of you, and then call your agent up, not on a Monday and not on a Friday, and just say, hey, Susie, I just think you are doing such a great job for me. And I was wondering if, there's anything I can do to make your job easier, because I am so talented. Like, just do that kind of thing to make a personal engagement with them. And that's what I would do. And I would give that some time. And it may be that there's literally no work, or it may be that they're not thinking of you. So you'll have to make that decision.
Okay. We have like 1 or 2 more questions on my list, but I want to just let everybody know, if you have any questions you want to ask Tamara or me, just go ahead and use the hand raising function and we will give you a a call. I'm scrolling here on my list. Tamara, what's the biggest changes for Florida actors in recent years? Is it just dealing with the lack of incentive and having to travel more?
Traveling more. Again, I think it really is a good thing that we have the opportunity to get work out of state that we audition for, you know, from our backyard. You definitely have to cultivate relationships with, you know, I have an agent in Wilmington, I have an agent in Atlanta, who also has a satellite office in New Orleans, and I cultivate really functional, good relationships with casting directors there, who are, you know, they're just amazing. And I get in my car sometimes and drive up there to go to mixers, and this is all pre-COVID, to spend time there, just getting FaceTime and also getting networking time. Yeah.
You mentioned.
I also say when, so another good part of being a member of SAG-AFTRA is we have another side of us, which is the Sag-Aftra Foundation. And they put on seminars and workshops where, I mean, I've been to workshops with Megan Lewis. They fly in people. They've flown in people to Miami. They've flown in Megan Lewis. They flew in Mark Fincannon. I mean, they put on really amazing events to bring in casting directors. I mean, Lori Wyman's done them. Mark in Orlando, I just lost his last name. He got an Artios for the Florida project. I can't remember his last name.
Mark Mullen.
Mark
Yeah.
Mullen, thank you. They do amazing events with really solid casting directors. George Pierre, Ryan Glorosio, and that's a major benefit of being in SAG-AFTRA, is that you have the ability to attend these events, you know, in person with casting directors.
Somebody asked on the chat here directly to me, it said, Tamara mentioned 5 actor sites, but only 2 that I know, Actors Access and Casting Networks. What are the other ones?
Okay, so Actors Access, Casting Networks, Casting Frontier, Now Casting. There might be another. Those are the 4 that come to mind. The Now Casting is only used by Tyler Perry Studios as far as like the major studios. Tyler Perry uses nowcasting.com. As far, it was Rhea Drummer was his casting director. I don't know if that's still 100% accurate. That was, but you can register for free with Actors Access. You should definitely pay, it's $85 a year to be able to upload auditions endlessly. And then Casting Networks, you can get from your agent their code to register for free. So don't pay for that. Get the code for Casting Networks, which is agent specific, and put up, you know, a really good demo reel, you know, your 2 best headshots. You can put your resume up for free on all of those.
Excellent. All right, I'm gonna spotlight you, and if you want to take yourself off mute, go ahead and ask your question.
All right. Everybody help me? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're all good.
Okay, excellent. Evening, everybody. Evening, Tamara. So I understand you're, I know the Fincannons myself, Mark and Lisa.
Sure.
I grew up in Wilmington.
Oh, good for you.
Thank you, thank you. But my question is for you is to get into SAG, the initiation fee. Is there a different initiation fee compared to Florida to California, or is it all just the same?
That is a very smart question. This is a little, maybe a hack. Different areas have different initiation fees. I know ours is cheaper than LA. I don't know what it is, but I know ours is cheaper. But I suspect if you joined in Alaska, you know, the smallest local ever, it might be even cheaper. And I don't know if you wanted to spend time hacking into that, but I know ours is not a fun number. I know it's a lot of money to be initiated into the union now. It is not, it's a financial barrier for a lot of people. I think it's like $3,000. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. I've seen LA is 3,000. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm hopeful in Florida it's cheaper.
I've heard it's like, I think half of that maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're eligible and you wanted to spend 10 minutes, I would call Chicago. I would call Dallas. I would call New Orleans. And I don't have any problem saying that because, you know, you're just finding the best way to join the union. I don't know. It could be, you know, $500, $100, $1,000. I don't know what the difference is, but yeah, I know it's cheaper than LA.
Okay, yeah. So also, I mean, I actually own my own film studio here in Central Florida, and I was also thinking about maybe possibly, thank you, maybe alternating that into SAG. But I just got to figure out like how there's like possibilities of how to put my studio into the SAG business.
Yes. So there is a very wonderful new allowance that we have in SAG-AFTRA. It's a low budget media agreement that it's one sheet that you fill out online. It's not difficult, you know, it's not a lot of difficulty. It's not financially difficult to get involved. So they have finally made it so that actors who self-produce can produce inexpensively under contract. You know, they've written a contract that we can produce under that's completely affordable. And do you have, I'm gonna give you, hold on like 2 seconds. Do you have where are you? Are you in Orlando or Miami?
I'm in Cocoa Beach, outside Orlando.
Oh, okay. So you probably would be in the Orlando office, but the Miami office is, hold on 1 second.
This is the type of riveting television that we all came for.
Shut up. 305. Hey, Om is riveted. 305-670. Are you writing this down, Om? 87 seconds for me. 305.
Okay, I got, okay, right.
305-670-7677. Call them up and say, hey, I want to know about the new low budget agreement because I want to put some business under contract.
Excellent.
All right,
mahalo.
Thank you very much. All right, Om, good member of Film Florida. We love him. He attends all of our meetings on Zoom. We love seeing him. Tamara, question for you. Coming out of COVID now, a lot of new requirements were put in play because of COVID. Do you think any of them are going to stick even post COVID, or do you think, I don't know whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, whenever that is, are we just going to forget that COVID ever happened and we're back to what it was before? Or do you think there's going to be some elements from an acting perspective that are still going to be, used?
I think in terms of, scenes that are, people kissing and that type of thing, I think that I don't think we'll ever go back to a pre-COVID stance on that. I know that, you know, I personally would not do kissing scenes with someone because I didn't want to get, you know, whatever they had going on. So I think another thing, I think, not directly related to COVID, but I do think that all work environments are much more conscious of germs and health and you know, that type of thing. But I also think all work environments are much more conscious of inappropriate sexual and race related, gender identifying related, those type of things. I think our culture really has gotten to a place where the workspace has actually become more professional, you know, in that way, where, you know, you just don't talk about certain things, you don't do certain things. And I think that produces better work in general, where people aren't feeling, you know, afraid or objectified and those type of things.
Well, I think that's probably a good positive note to end, that we're making progress in, you know, treating people better and acting more appropriately. So as we wrap up, I just want to thank Adam and Tamara for spending time with us tonight. And I want to thank all of you for attending. If you haven't already, make sure you register for the next edition of Film Florida Friday, which is a similar format to this. It's June 18th, next Friday, with Florida State Film Commissioner Nikki Welge. So we're going to hit a lot of important topics with Nikki. So make sure you register for that one. The registration has been on some social media our social media pages and email blasts. You can also find it on the news page of our website. I want to thank, I mentioned her earlier, Gail Morgan, for Film Florida President Gail Morgan, for encouraging us to do more events like this. I want to thank all of our Film Florida members. We're a volunteer-driven organization that, as I mentioned, and we're funded entirely by our members. So without the ongoing support from all of them, we don't exist. If you're not a member already, I would encourage you to join the organization at filmflorida.org. Keep up with everything we're doing on our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And as I mentioned, check out the Film Florida podcast. Other than me being the host, it's a really good podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Stitcher, and the iHeartRadio app. So stay safe, everybody, and stay cool out there. It's getting hot.